Patch 9.2 is in full swing, Echo have claimed the world first mythic kill of the Jailer, and millionaires are being made from the rank 7 legendaries. The economy and goal making potential in this patch is still at large, so let's spend a few minutes today looking at what is hot this week in the world of Warcraft. This video is made possible by my Patreons. They are the milk to my cookie, the butter to my bread. So a massive shout out to all my Patreons and supporters here on YouTube and also over on Twitch. Patreons and supporters of the channel have access to my fully customised TSM groups and operations, early access to the latest and greatest goal making strategies, and of course the warm feeling of knowing that they're supporting the channel. So if you're looking to stay ahead of the game and give yourself a competitive advantage, consider becoming a goblin today. The Mage Tower has returned, and this time for good. The FOMO factor is gone and players can now tackle this challenge at their own pace. A quick little refresher then for you guys to what's hot with the Mage Tower. We're going to see items such as the drums, which are almost a must for most classes without direct access to their lust or heroism. Now you're probably going to be already crafting these and stocking the Shadowlands variation of the drums, so just consider crafting a few extra for those extra customers that might be about currently. Due to the scaling of gear in the Mage Tower, people's Shadowlands gear is going to be a good start, but many might quickly learn that there are much better options available. The crafted Dreadful Gladiator PvP set from back in Mists of Pandaria can both be crafted to item level 48 or 54, which is almost perfect for the item level 50 scaling, but more importantly, the gear has gem sockets on it. The gem sockets are going to be a super powerful way to increase the stats on a piece of gear without actually increasing its item level. People are going to want as many gem sockets as possible. Now when crafting this gear, you're going to be using a Relic of the Past 4 or 5. Relic of the Past 4 creates a piece of gear with item level 48, whilst Relic 5 creates a piece of gear with item level 54. The decision to which one you want to use depends on which enchant the player might wish to add to that piece of gear at a later date. Many gear slots can take advantage of some of the really powerful legacy enchants, but these can only be attached to gear with an item level below that of 50, in turn meaning players are going to want the item level 48 crafted gear made with the Relic 4s, whilst other gear slots can use a more recent enchant, and so to squeeze out the most stats from the gear, an item level 54 piece of gear made with the Relic 5 is slightly better suited. Of course though, if in doubt, consider just crafting one of each and posting both. Build this little bit of extra cost into your prices, and this shouldn't be too much of a problem. With all this crafted gear though, and all those gem slots kicking about, what are we going to put in them? Well, we're going to use red gems. All the red gems. Red gems are often a class's main stat gem, and people are going to want to stack these in their gear pretty highly. Jewel crafters who have the ability to craft and cut these gems are going to be busy prospecting and cutting everybody's gems. There's the Queen's Garnets. These are the best in slot. These are giving a +4 main stat, but are a pain in the ass to farm, and in turn the most expensive option. A more cost-effective option is going to be the Cardinal Ruby from Wrath of the Lich King era, or the Primordial Ruby from the Mists of Pandaria era, which both in turn offer +3 main stats, but of course are a much cheaper and easier option. This pretty much just scratches the surface in regards to the goal making potential for the Mage Tower. I mean, we've not even looked at the consumable players are going to look to take into the tower, but all this said, the Mage Tower is now open permanently, so I wouldn't expect to see the massive boom of sales that we might have seen the first time round. Maybe just add these items to your restock lists, keep them listed on the auction house, and recraft what sells. This will eventually end up being a nice little side market to your regular gold making activities. Now, whilst crafting is my cup of tea, there are some people out there that prefer the simple, laid-back grind of farming for a rare item or resource. This week, our buddy Kachak shines the light on a rare pattern that is available for the scribes out there, that was initially introduced in patch 9.1.5, I believe. This is the technique Mark of the Regal Dreadbat. This was one of, I believe, 8 new glyphs that were introduced, but is also proven to be one of the most difficult and lucrative to acquire. Kachak goes on to state that the pattern itself is rarely even listed on the auction house, and then when it is, can quite often be in the hundreds of thousands of gold. Now, with the pattern only dropping from 2 mobs in a remote corner of Revendreth, this could easily be a little bit of a gold mine for you if your realm is one of the many out there that do not even have this pattern listed. Scribes who go the extra mile to learn this technique will then forever be able to create the glyph, which provides druids the ability to take on a bat form for their travel form. Kinda cool if you ask me. I'll leave Kachak to explain this in a little bit more detail though. A link to his video covering this is in the description down below. The number one material on the lips of all gold makers in patch 9.2 has of course been the Progenitor Essentia. Starting off relatively cheap at around 5,000 gold a piece, it quickly spiraled to the dizzy heights of 30k plus on some realms during the launch week of rank 7 legendaries. More recently, with the addition of flying, this material is now easier than ever and people are farming for it left and right, with some claiming as high as 5 of these per hour with a well planned out farming route. Now the prices of the Pog Essence are quite rapidly dropping again, and there are many people trying their luck selling these on the auction house. This though is in turn making the rank 7 legendaries, which are the main sort of sink for this material, far more affordable to craft and also to sell. This generally means one of two things: either better profits for those goblins or cheaper prices out there for the players. To the best of our knowledge, the rank 7 legendaries will probably see out the expansion, and so they're here to stay. As players continue to gear up their characters, level those alts, try out new specs, I would expect the demand for these rank 7 legendaries to stay relatively high for some time. Now my advice for those looking to craft and sell the legendaries for the long term is just be careful how many of them you stock. The lion's share of the cost of crafting one of these rank 7s still sits firmly with the Progenitor Essentia, and while the prices of these are slowly but surely dropping day by day, you want to avoid shooting yourself in the foot by crafting too much more than you can sell quickly. If you are one of those that are zooming around Zereth Mortis hunting for the Progenitor Essentia, remember that all treasures, herb nodes and ore nodes can be sources for the Pog Essence, so maybe dig out that herb miner druid combo. He might end up being the ultimate setup for farming these things. There was a post over on the WoW Economy subreddit that gained a little bit of traction this week with the title "Gold Capped in 3 months, the economy is broken." Now, whilst the sky is falling posts tend to be dime a dozen from players struggling to get going with their gold making adventures, it's quite rare to see this opinion from somebody who has seen quite speedy, rapid success. Now the TLDR to this post is quite simple. The power of the legendary crafting system completely eclipses that of any other crafting market, and that if you value your time spent, crafting and selling legendaries is just light years ahead of the next best option. The post emphasises this by stating that the simple maths of just crafting and selling one of these high rank legendaries can make you enough profit to outdo selling hundreds of potions or consumables. This also then tends to lead to very predatory behaviours from those looking to sell that one highly profitable item. My take on this though is that while I do mostly agree that crafting and selling legendaries is a significantly better use of your time than crafting and selling potions, this doesn't really mean the economy is broken. If anything, I tend to think that this is an example of the economy working as designed. There is a reason why there are 500 people crafting and selling potions to every one person successfully crafting and selling legendaries, mainly due to the massive barriers to entries and restrictions that the legendary crafting system presents. This is where I feel the problem is. I have for a long time been pretty outwardly spoken about how, although profitable, I really dislike the legendary crafting system. It has this really weird snowball effect for those that were lucky enough to start early in the expansion, and unlike most other aspects of the game, it provides no meaningful catch-up system for those looking to get into it at a later date. When patches come and go, we usually see sort of soft resets to markets. The old crafts are superseded by newer, bigger and better options. And you might be very quick to think, well, is this not what happened with the legendaries? Are ranks 5, 6s, 7s not bigger and better? Well, what's the actual difference here? The difference, I think, is in how players had access to these new items. Let's take a little bit of a look at a comparable market. We'll take a look at the Crafter's Mark catch-up gear real quickly. We first had the patch 9.0 Venari rep grind to unlock the 168 gear. Then, in patch 9.1, Korthia brought with it 2 new Crafter's Marks, in the form of the 200 and 200 item level gear. The major thing to note here was that you were not required to learn the 168 Crafter's Mark to unlock the new 200 and 230 gear. They were independently learned, and as such provided all players an equal opportunity to put some effort into unlocking the newest, latest and greatest crafts. Legendary crafting system has had no such luxury. If you wanted to craft the new rank 5 or 6 legendaries in patch 9.1, you had to have at the very least unlocked the rank 3 pattern from the previous patch. Now in patch 9.2, if you want to craft the latest rank 7s, you're going to have required to have fully unlocked the rank 4 pattern. Now this not only offers no form of meaningful catch-up for those looking to get into the market, it even goes as far as to make it considerably harder, as the lower ranks that you're required to craft hold very little value in the eyes of the majority of the player base. Just imagine you had to unlock all of the Crafter's Marks in sequence, and to add insult to injury then needed to craft a bunch of items you knew full well were very unlikely to sell. This would not have been a smart system, and as such I do not really understand why the legendary crafting system has ended up working this way. I hope if we see anything like the legendary crafting system in patch 10.0, Blizzard at the very least learns its lessons that if you're going to have this mini leveling path for individual items, that once an acceptable amount of time has passed, allow new players to have the chance to start from a slightly higher point on the totem pole. Address this issue, and I think everything else fits into place quite nicely. Leave me your thoughts on today's topics in the comments section down below, or join in with the discussion over on our Discord channel. The Discord hosts multiple channels and thousands of like-minded players for all your gold making needs, and even a bunch of free resources such as my Shadowlands gold making cheat sheet and TSM groups. I wish you the best of luck on your gold making adventure, and I hope you'll remember to like and subscribe before you leave. I've been Manthius, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.